just done Terran versus Genetron. It makes a lot of sense to do a Protoss versus Keiron game. The inspired versus the original. But let's be honest here, that's not the reason why we're watching this game. It's because this game has gotten more hype on the Scion Discord than I've seen in a long time. So I'm expecting very good things, and based on the players we've got today, we're off to a really good start already. Both our players are Masters level today, and our Keiron player is either a Korean or at least plays in Korea. So if you ever got excited to see what the Koreans might do with the Keiron, this is our first glimpse. I've watched a couple games with our barcoded player now. His name is KOPDSD. I don't know what it stands for, but it sounds like a boy band. More groundless speculation later, but let's sneak in an intro. Our Protoss player in the upper right is milk, yogurt, and hopefully lots of cheese, for he is Dairy Product! Dairy Product is yet another alias for the man with 1,000 names. I know him as Magical Cookie or Strail Bora, but you probably know him as you. But when he plays on the Korean server, he goes as Dairy Product. Dairy Product is a past champion of the Scion round robin this year, and I'm pretty sure he's completely undefeated on games cast on this channel. He has been slaughtering the poor souls in his path. He's going Nexus before Core here. KOP's got his Sanctum underway. Oh, he corners that scouting probe and gets the first blood. First blood before I finish the intros. Our Keiron player is a lawyer who knows how to program because he's barcode. His actual name is KOPDSD, and no, I don't know what it stands for. It sounds like some random letters I'd get when I play Scrabble. I could spell pods or odds. Oh, we've got a quick foundry coming out of our Keiron player. He hasn't expanded to his natural. He might be one-basing. And now he's even adding a fast conduit. That means he can get a fast echo or a fast fuse, both of which are units which coincidentally have really quick speeds. If his opponent was Zerg, I'd say he was going for fast echo so he could hunt some overlords. But against the Protoss, we'll just have to see. We're in uncharted territory here. Dairy Product's going for warp gate research and a chrono boosted stalker. No tech choice just yet. And as soon as I say that, we get ourselves a Robo. Is the Robo the anti-Keiron weapon? Or is this just an observer for more scouting? His original scout did die a quick death. Okay, so Keiron is not one basic. He just delayed his expansion to push out more tech. Shield battery goes up at Protoss's natural. He knows his opponent is no pushover. KOPDSD is only getting his second gas now. Though somehow our players are even on workers. A third stalker in production for Dairy Products. And it's gonna be a fuse for Keiron. This really feels like the Protoss equivalent of the hallucinated Phoenix from a century. It's early and it's so fast. One of our viewers pointed out to me ages ago, the fuse just has extreme utility as a scout because it's so early and it's so fast, and when you're done with it, it's a 150 hit point shield. Keiron's gonna see that Robotech, and we're gonna see that there's an observer being rallied out of there. And apparently KOPDSD likes what he sees because he's bringing his attack force. And it includes an Umbreon. The Hamster Ball of Doom does do bonus damage against armored targets, which all those stalkers are. The problem for Keiron is that they're backed by a shield battery. The Umbre gets a free shot and then gets out of there. It's cloaked, but the cloak wears off as soon as it attacks. Comes back in a few seconds. There's an upgrade you can get to recloak instantly at the cost of health, but it's not researched yet. Another fuse goes into another Umbre. It's Gold Fire Hamsters tonight. I just had to go check to see if that's what KOP's acronym stood for, but nope, that's not it. Oh, good adjustment by Dairy Product. Seeing the Umbra, he wants Immortals. Maybe that was his original plan from the start, but I like it. KOP scouts with another fuse. He's gonna have an opportunity to spot the adjustment. He's also gonna see Gateway number 2 in production. Oh, and look at this Dairy Product going for double Robo. He gets his second one. If it's gonna be Immortals versus infused hamster balls, I think I like the Immortals. A second edifice for KOP. Perhaps he's adjusting as well. If your opponent's going heavy on Immortals, I think you beat it with mass cheap units. I think both Pariahs and Volts will be cost effective against Immortals. But again, this is not a matchup that many people have figured out. This is all theory crafting on the fly. Oh, quick little opening warp gate ceremony here. Still one of the cooler things to watch in StarCraft. Oh, KOP is picking up Modified Gate. That's the speed upgrade for Volts and Pariahs. Probably very handy if you're looking to get surface area on Immortals. Dairy Product has an observer in the Keiron main. He gets the story. And that's going to include the Reliquary going up. Dairy Product does not have a forge, so that does represent an opportunity for KOP to get ahead on upgrades. Speaking of getting ahead, Protoss does have the worker lead by 2, and he's showing signs of taking a 3rd, something that KOP's Fuse is going to scout. And he's going to match it. Protoss is being more conservative, starting with that shield battery. KOP is building direct, no security, and I think what he's going to do instead is apply pressure. As long as you keep your opponent busy defending their own base, you know they're not mucking about in yours, and that includes any of your poor defenseless expansions. I love how KOP is just scouting over and over and then converting the Fuse into a shield every time. It's like he's getting himself double value out of the unit each time. That's 4 fused Umbrae, 4 golden hamster balls right there. But that is also a lot of Immortals backed by shield battery. And there's an observer in there. Cloak is not a factor. Oh, what a great pin with those sentry force fields. He trapped a hamster ball against the rock. That is how you smash a getaway. And just like that, Protoss takes the first real significant edge in this game. Keiron is down on army and has to be worried about a counterattack now. KOP's response is to shape in an atrium. That's going to generate charges for myriads and inducers, the twin forces of range and power. There's not really anything specific in the Protoss army that myriads are good against, except that they're just kind of good against everything. But I could see inducers being particularly helpful with that range. But you know me, I've got some weird obsession with range. Oh, Dairy Product actually got the cancel on that pylon. That was pretty sick too. It looked like KOP was waiting for that pylon to finish, but one of his hamster balls fired just a little bit too early, and then Dairy Product just responded instantly. Oh, to have reflexes like that. Okay, we got a Pariah hit squad coming up the left-hand side. It's a mineral dump, but it's got the speed upgrade, and those Pariahs are also going to be immortal killers if they can get the project off right. Ugh, witness the butchering of these poor adepts. The Immortals are left cowering next to the shield battery. It's like a bad horror movie. There's an Umbrae out there somewhere, man. It's out there somewhere. There is. Only it's at your corner 3rd base location. And there's 4 of them. Dun dun dun. So I really like this. KOPDSD is keeping Dairy Product on the back foot so he can find his own footing. Oh, Protoss got a peek at those hamster balls. He does have an observer with him. Those adepts are very alone though. I'm not sure they want to take on those hamster balls by themselves. Umbrae may not do bonus damage against light adepts, but they don't need to when there's 4 of them. I'm pretty sure that if I made a video of nothing but Protoss death moans for like 20 minutes, I'd get like 1 million views, but I just feel so dirty about it. Okay, Blink researching, no surprise there, but double Colossi. That makes a ton of sense with all those Pariah lurking about, but no sign of extended thermal lance just yet. But let's talk about what Keiron's doing. First, we've got the Wraith Chamber upgrade underway. That's extra range and damage for Umbrae when cloaked. That's the old upgrade, it's the new one I kinda wanna see. Oh, speaking of Umbrae, they just got spotted. What? Dairy Product sees him, but he's not doing anything. We got a little standoff here. Anyways, but we've also got the upgrade Develop Anisopteric Wings. That's a speed upgrade for the Elytra for the Myriad, and we don't seem to get to see that too much. Anywho, I think that's going to answer the questions of Myriads versus Inducers. I think it's time for the Reaver's spiritual successor to make an appearance. Oh, the Adepts are just not having a good day today. They keep getting sliced. So both our players are getting 4th bases together now. Keiron's somewhat ahead on that score. And it looks like KOPDSD intends to keep it that way. He's marshalling an assault on the Protoss triangular 3rd under construction. And he's bringing his Myriad to do it. That speed upgrade for the Elytra is just about complete. Don't make me attempt to say Anisopteric Wings a second time. Oh, he's pulling back. I'm not sure why, but Keiron didn't like something it saw. His army has rolled back. Quite literally in the case of the hamster balls. Maybe he's worried about a battery overcharge because the Nexus is gonna finish. Also, the Colossus, in theory, should be really good against the Elytra. The Elytra are light, and the Colossus get extra hits on them as they try to come into range. Ah, that's what happened. KOPDSD wanted to wait for the rest of his Myriads to arrive. He's got a bigger force this time. And I suppose he knows that dairy products can't cancel that Nexus now. Extended thermal lance not yet done. You can really see that making a difference. Nobody likes a stubby thermal lance. The pariahs are going in. Force fields cut off the army. Oh, the elytra fly right over the force fields. I didn't know that. And there's meridians in the back there providing support. But it looks like Immortal Colossus is gonna reign supreme. When the dust settles, it's Keiron tucking tail. Thermal lance is done and Protoss is in pursuit. And instead of a wall of stalkers protecting the Colossi, it's a wall of immortals. That is an expensive high-tech Protoss army. KOPDSD sends in a wave of elytra, but they just get carved up. The sentry shields are doing nothing, but it doesn't matter. Hold on, Keiron's just added in inducers. They've got range now. Colossi have a range of 9 with that extended thermal lance, but inducers have a range of 12. That's just under a siege tank. You know me, I love a range war, and I think inducers are gonna be a big part of that battle. Keiron has +1/+1 and is getting +1 shields. Protoss still just about to finish up +1 attack. Oh, but look who wants in on the range game. Dairy Products is making disruptors. Technically, disruptor shots don't have a range, they have a duration. But if you can actually micro them correctly, which I can't, you can extend them beyond the range of a siege tank. So that tells us that yes, a disruptor can outrange an inducer. And while I'm geeking out over the ramifications of this matchup, Dairy Products has taken a 5th. I think it's a show of confidence that intimidates KOPDSD into backing off. Or I'm just reading too much into it and he just took a breather so he could pick up his own 5th. He just did a huge mineral dump into pariahs. They're coming up the left-hand side. So I always sort of thought that pariahs were like an offshoot of zealots, sort of like zealot outcasts. But if you look at this here, you can see that the zealot is actually quite a bit bigger than the pariah. They're probably a different species. They just share the same love of 3-toed footwear. But I guess obviously in the future, Nike spreads across the galaxy. Oh, these armies, man. Just 2 great armies going at it here. Keiron cannot get close because the Colossi will just tear up anything. But Keiron no longer has to get close. It can soften up his opponent with those inducers. But Protoss has the potential counter with the disruptors. But we all know how speculative that is. Disruptors can lose games as often as they win them. It all just comes down to who has the better micro. I say all of this not as some deep technical analysis, but to try to disguise the fact that I have no idea what's going to happen next. Well, one thing we do know is that Keiron has started researching convergence. That's the storm for the Meridian. That could give us a bit of a window into what to expect next. And as I'm sure you're tired of me saying ad nauseum, convergence does extra damage against mechanical. And that's everything that comes out of a Robo Bay, which is most of Protoss's army. Immortals, Colossus, Disruptors, all of them. Undefended pariahs going to work against a battery overcharge. This is like the Lizzie Borden rhyme. Lizzie Borden had an axe, she gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. But the real story, of course, is that this ranged composition duel is still ongoing. We see that the elytra still cannot make a dent. Protoss has given up on the force fields. And as long as Keiron keeps pulling back, they're gonna get some free inducer hits in. Lizzie Pariah had an axe, she gave the Nexus 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave the Gateway 41. Dairy Product has so many disruptors available. If Protoss could somehow get in close, I could see him just detonating that army. But KOPDSD is clearly way ahead of me and he does not want to let that happen. Here comes more Novas. I guess it also bears mention that disruptors aren't just great for their range. They of course do bonus damage against shields. And just like Protoss, every Keiron unit has a shield. Oh, 8 Stalker Warpin. But also, Protoss is finishing up a Dark Shrine. Does Keiron have any detection? He's got a few Meridians that can cast detection as a spell, but he's not capable of producing paradoxes. So he doesn't have a unit that will function as an observer. Keiron's gonna be limited to air turrets and spells. So Dairy Product is teaching us here. We're learning. When Keiron doesn't go air, they have a vulnerability to cloak. Okay, so Dairy Product is completely sacked his 3rd. Totally gutted by the pariahs. And Keiron's got an 18 worker lead. So I feel like this is eventually gonna show up in the income tab. It hasn't yet. Well, this is some determined rebuilding. The Axemen are still there. Hey, it's a defensive DT. There's no detection there. That Dark Templar is death incarnate. But the cost there is that he gave up the surprise value for his Dark Templar. KOPDSD immediately dropped 3 Stratus. He knows what's coming next. Or maybe he just thinks he does, because Dairy Product isn't making more DTs. He's actually just making more Disruptors. But who makes a Dark Shrine and builds only a single DT? Dairy Product apparently, because he's that sneaky. Oh wow, Keiron is really going heavy on the Inducers now. He's now able to oh! Double Purification Nova hits. Not quite as many Inducers as there was a second ago. And there's not much supporting them either. Meanwhile, Protoss continues to invest in Disruptors. KOPDSD's had enough, he's pulling back again, but perhaps just long enough to regroup with more reinforcements. Protoss trying to get that 5th base up and running. Yep, KOPDSD is like a dog with a bone, he keeps coming back. And this time he's literally bringing a dog. He's got a space doggy, the Titan is on the way. Meanwhile, tired of pariah run-bys, Dairy Product is gonna demonstrate the original, the Zealot charge lots. Son, I've been mineral dumping before you were even a twinkle in your designer's eye. The Zealots just charge right into those nullifiers. Well, we're definitely getting our money's worth in terms of combat here. More Purification Nova hits. But for the first time in a long time, Dairy Product has stopped making Disruptors. He's going back to Colossi. Both players just balancing and rebalancing their armies, hoping to finally get an edge over their opponents so they can end this standoff. KOPDSD may not be winning the war in this standoff, but his own army's getting big. He's getting close to maxing out. I think he's got the advantage in that he doesn't have to be as efficient as Protoss does. I think I'm gonna dub the left-hand side of the map Run by Lane. It's all Zealots running south, Pariahs running north. What happened to that defensive DT though? I'm not sure where he is, but Dairy Product's actually researching Shadow Strike, so he's gotta have plans to use the DTs more heavily. Ugh, the carnage! That's a gold-fired Titan, people. It's been infused. If it was a Pokemon, it would be worth like triple. Everyone's gotta get those gold cards. Well, if it wasn't for that fuse, that Titan would definitely be dead by now. More Disruptors on the way, but also another Titan. Protoss is angling to get an upgrade lead with +2 attack. I wonder if one of our players stops messing around with Run by Lane and puts their mineral dump into the attack on the right-hand side, if that'll make the difference. Actually, I think that might be exactly what KOPDSD is doing. He's ahead of me. He's gonna have a bunch of pariahs to tank. Okay, hold the phone, here come the Dark Templar now. I've been waiting for this. Does Keiron have a Meridian handy? Oh, I do see one hanging back in the Keiron army. If Dairy Product can snipe that. Oh, and there's more DTs going for the natural. The Stratus is gonna reveal them though, and the DTs have no way to take that down. It's like a stationary overseer. KOPDSD needs a beholder spell. Oh, the carnage! We gotta be getting near Crimson Zone territory at this point. Dairy Product is being super patient with his DTs. He must see that there's still a Meridian in there. Does it even have the 75 energy to cast Beholder? Yes it does. There's a flaming head and the DTs are gone. That is incredible play by KOPDSD. I really thought Dairy Product had him there. And instead the opposite is happening. He's making inroads. Or at least he was until he ate a couple more Novas. Battery overcharge goes up to save the Nexus. I just love how Dairy Product put a shield battery in the back behind the Nexus to make it so hard for KOPDSD to get at. I feel like Keiron deserved a Nexus for that awesome play. But Protoss says no. You'll get it when I give it to you. And that is not today. I watched a game recently where a player made as many Disruptors as Dairy Products has in this game. Only he just didn't have the skills to actually shoot them and micro them. They largely just rolled into their opponents and died expensive deaths. But you can really see the difference with a Masters level player. They truly become devastating weapons. Kind of like a martial artist with a bow staff. In my hands, it's just a stick. That flaming head Meridian looks like somebody needs to teach him to stop, drop, and roll. He's like freaking out. I'm underwater! How is this happening to me? Oh, big project. KOPDSD gave up trying to get that right-hand base. He's swung his army to attack on the left-hand side, but Dairy Products has followed him, and now he's got a potential sandwich here. This looks bad for the Keiron. The Meridian is out of energy and the DTs are running wild. No more flaming heads. Beauty is no longer in the eye of the beholder. In fact, the DTs are gonna butcher the Meridian for good measure. And just like that, the game has a lead change. Protoss is ahead on army. Keiron is in full flight. Who would have thought switching the attack to the western front would have been some kind of blunder? I'm not so sure it was. I wonder if what really happened is that the DTs finally kicked in after the Meridian ran out of energy. But now a new flamehead is on the scene and the DTs get cleaned up. I wonder what an infused beholder Meridian looks like, sort of fire on fire. You know you're hot when your flames have flame. Oh my god, oh thank goodness. I was worried that after 15 minutes of staunch defense, that Nexus was gonna fall to a couple of pariahs. But Dairy Product saves it yet again. I mean, if you can defend it from Titans and a horde of Inducers, surely you gotta be able to protect it from a couple of pariahs. Hey, not only has Dairy Product defended, he's actually managed to expand here. And now he's working on his +3 attack, looking to get that double upgrade lead. Are we looking at another turnaround game here? The Colossi going to work on the Keiron 3rd. The Converters pulling off the evacuation of Dunkirk. KOPDSD pulling back to defend, but they'll have to hurry or there won't be anything left to defend. Can you imagine being a worker and then 10 enemy disruptors just kind of roll up and sit in your mineral line? I mean, that's probably not good for your nerves. I suppose neither are the stalkers who are lasering everybody to death. Okay, this is devolving into a bit of a base race. KOPDSD changed his mind, he's not coming back. There's no Aegis though, I don't really love this for Keiron. Protoss is gonna be able to do a Nexus recall. But KOPDSD looking to prove me wrong, he pulls off a laser light show. Neither player doing any serious tech damage yet though. Both players just hitting the outer levels of the economy. Dairy Product about to squash the Keiron's base in the bottom right. Disruptor's not that useful in a base race. And there's a lot of supply tied up in that. Maybe that's a weakness I haven't considered here. Oh, but it looks like KOPDSD is pulling the plug. He's pulling back. Oh, this is neat. Dairy Product's actually gonna take that bottom right expansion. What's better than taking your opponent's base? Building on its carcass. And then the Zealots prevent an expansion in the center left. They need to get out of there though or they're gonna die for their efforts. Yes, they will. Oh, and KOP saved the Converter so he's able to remake it. But, those Zealots that died revealed the location of the Keiron army, which lets Dairy Product know where he's free to put his. 3 Zealots for delaying a base and getting intel, that's probably a very good trade. DT arrives too late and the pariahs get the prize. All that is left is an opportunity for vengeance. Armies clash over the grave of the Keiron 3rd. The rock's creating a nasty choke for the Colossi to abuse, but it's also making it hard for the... Oh! Big disruptor hit the supply drop by 9 in the blink of an eye. And that was the cover for the Inducers and the Meridians. KOP senses his vulnerability, he pulls back. We now have identical supplies. This is turning to a bit of a bear of a game here. Both players' income's really starting to hurt. Dairy Product in particular. His main is completely mined out and there's slim pickings at his natural and 3rd. His 4th is still good, but he really needs that bottom right-hand base to survive. Keiron is not doing much better. In this income-depleted environment, though, having the larger army is an advantage, and that is an advantage of Protoss right now. Protoss's upgrade advantage is also going to be a factor. It's going to allow him to be more efficient, which is going to be critically important. But yeah, killer disruptor shots, they're pretty good too. KOPDSD spreads his inducers and lets them rifle off so many shots. And it's Dairy Product who's going to pull back. KOP looks to hold. This game just keeping me guessing. You know what? There's something else that really strikes me about this game, other than the very impressive death count. When was the last time you saw a game run this long and neither player attempted an air transition? They don't seem to be going for it. This is a grueling ground war, a war of range, and more recently a war of cloak. It was for a time a battle of composition, but I think both players are pretty settled on what they want at this point. Oh, that crucial base at the bottom right, it's been detected. Lizzie Borden's going at it. And then inexplicably being pulled away. The pariah are needed elsewhere. Don't you hate when you're ripping down a nexus with your axe and then suddenly you get the order? We need you to sacrifice yourself on our front line. Nope, good news. They are going back to finish that next. No, they are not. A little bit of indecision being brought courtesy of Dairy Product. He's making it hard to choose. That nexus is key, but so is not having your army wiped out in this low-income environment. Oh, so Protoss has 9 disruptors, and he's making 2 more. Dairy Product's gonna be able to fire off Novas like a machine gun. Oh, that was a convergence that just went off. And then Dairy Product's like, that means you don't have energy for beholder detection. But no, there's a flaming head there, and the DTs get wiped out. And so it looks like that convergence was pretty decisive. It wiped out the stalker count, and there's nothing left to protect the disruptors or the colossi. Protoss retreats, his army greatly diminished, and it looks like the prize is gonna be that base at the bottom right. And it is definitely advantage Keiron. If I hadn't witnessed Protoss come back from this 7 times before, he's actually gonna try to save the Nexus. That Colossus has like 0 health. The pariahs project on it, they're gonna try to bring it down, they do! I think Dairy Product's entire army is now just disruptors. There's a project to cut off their retreat. Dairy Product with the warp in for defense. And he saves some of his disruptors. Protoss definitely hanging on by a thread. The production tab is almost bare, a combination of exhaustion and no money. And now KOP shaping in a couple of meridians. He had to have liked what happened with that convergence. Dairy Products trying to find somewhere to stash his disruptors while he rebuilds his shattered army. If KOP presses the attack, there's really no defense. Those inducers can one-shot anything that tries to charge at it at this point. But as long as you have 5 disruptors, are you ever truly out of a game? Oh, KOP's going hunting. He wants to find that army. Oh, and look at that, a fuse is tracked it down. The disruptors have no way to attack the fuse. Oh, that was so cool. He shaded to dodge the disruptor attack. That was a boss play, and then the pariahs are on top of the disruptors again. Oh, both the meridians got taken out. There's no flaming heads. The DTs could have their run of this. Oh, there's a 3rd meridian. A 3rd meridian provides detection, and that's gonna be the end of the DTs. That's the end of the Protoss army, and it's GG. A 28-minute game where they save the sickest micro for the final seconds. Okay, I don't want to oversell the sick micro at the end of the game there, because at that point, the game was probably over. In hindsight, the real end of this game was probably the moment that convergence hit happened. The Protoss army kind of collapses shortly thereafter. But the final minute had a couple of cool moments that I really want to review here. First, the pariahs are running after the disruptors, and instead of dodging backwards, they project past the disruptor shot, and that lets them get right on top of the disruptors. Seconds later, Dairy Product's gonna pull off the move that he'd been trying to do for the last several minutes. He's gonna get an absolutely perfect shot eliminating his opponent's meridians. He's identified that no meridians means there's no defense to his DTs, absolutely none. And in theory, that perfect shot is gonna let him back into the game, except KOP had the foresight to make a 3rd meridian, and he's got enough energy for a flaming head, and that's game. So it kind of came down to a single unit, which is pretty darn cool. So I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did. Well, I need to let my brain reset after that, so let me just say from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your StarCraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your StarCraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang StarCraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.